Help me understand, how does your fractions lesson help students see the connections between what they already know and the new material?
Right. So the standard algorithm for fractions involves multiple steps, number of steps, and it helps them connect the use of say addition with the fraction calculations. So the stuff they've learned before this will apply to what they're learning in fractions, subtraction, division, multiplication, addition. It's all used in fractions, so they can apply their prior knowledge.
Okay, so you are connecting what they're learning, their new material, to their prior knowledge.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me. I also noticed that you systematically checked for understanding throughout the lesson plan. I see that whenever they had questions, when the kids raised their hands, I noticed that you were reinforcing the key ideas, such as what is a denominator, what is a numerator, equivalent fractions. How do you think that went as far as checking for student understanding while you were delivering the lesson?
Right, I call on students randomly to answer example questions so that basically it prepares them to be ready to answer a question at any time, and it helps them to focus during the lesson because they know that at any moment that they're going to have a question.
Okay. I also noticed that in your lesson plan that you shared with me, you mentioned that you were going to be incorporating various strategies to assess their ongoing understanding or their learning while the lesson plan was going. You mentioned you were going to be using exit tickets. You were going to be using nonverbal checks, such as asking students to give you a thumbs up, thumbs down, raise your hand, or wave at me if you need any help. I also noticed that you had visual models, and obviously you also had the kids break up and work in groups of two as well,
right,
where they were able to do the think, pair, share. How do you feel that went?
It's good. Kids tend to learn better from each other, actually. So when they're working with each other, one of the students who knows the material well can really help someone who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And the student who's struggling, they more open to learning from another student. So it's definitely positive for them. In terms of the visual models, it's great. The kids love visual models. They like to draw. They like to be able to understand something from a visual point of view. And then the verbal checks, actually the exit ticket is basically they need to finish the worksheet. I checked that they completed the worksheet, and then they're allowed to go on to enrichment activities.
Perfect. I noticed that the lesson plan moved fairly quickly. I know that it was adjusted for certain students that, are quick learners.
Yeah.
But we also had students that were, you could say, they needed a little bit more support.
Sure. So my philosophy behind that is that I don't want to hold back the quick learners. Mm-hmm. So for them, going too slow is going to limit their ability to learn.
I also noticed that whenever they finished that task, you had certain kids that were done before other kids. I noticed that you had an extension activity. Mm-hmm. I noticed that you had MobyMax ready for them.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about MobyMax and how it helps them?
Right. So MobyMax is adaptive. So if there are any concepts that they're challenged with, after the main lesson, they can work on catching up with those concepts.
So enrichment, you would say?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.